This is the National Maritime Museum, and this is where I done my Bronze Arts Award. Before, I thought museums were just places that old people went to when they were interested in certain artifacts, or they were places that your school brought you for educational trips. What changed that was when I started doing a course here, summer course here, and I was starting to do the Bronze Arts Award. I was looking at the museum's collection, but making my own interpretations and my own piece of work, just inspired by the museum's collection. So that made me think that museums can be used by anybody because it's all about your interpretation about the objects. I don't know, it gets me thinking about folklore. This one's definitely a vessel designed go to war, because this is quite a menacing one. Oh, this one contained political prisoners. I don't know, it's interesting. I found this course through the Futureversity website, and then because I saw it was working with textiles and I thought you'd just have to customize your own things, I chose it. And then I found out it was actually at a National Maritime Museum. I didn't know of this museum before. I thought it would just be more like a arts and crafts thing where you just do your own thing, but it was more knowledge-based whilst being practical. This is just the exhibition that we saw. This is the research. This was the stages of the Adinkra painting. That's the symbol I picked, which was the Sankofa, which means learning from the past, and that's the template. I chose that symbol because I think learning from the past is really important. If you don't learn from your past, then your future won't be so great. And with it, I used it to block print onto a piece of fabric. It's not something I've ever done before in school or out of. We looked at Yinka Shoni Bari's Ship in a Bottle, and then we discussed about the significance of the fabric he used. So like for him, that ship was more about his celebration of his British culture as well as his Nigerian heritage. This is the teaching plan for the Adinkra painting. And I wrote here, one of the questions was, how do you feel about sharing this skill? And I wrote, elated, because I love teaching people about art. I wouldn't have thought I would be able to teach anyone anything. They don't teach you that in school. This room is Nelson's Navy Nation. The difference between a museum and art gallery is that a museum is a source of such expansive knowledge, and an art gallery is quite with limited ideas of just a few artists who has a current exhibition at that time. I think I want my work to be in the public domain, either out on just the street or maybe like in a museum, because Yinka Shoni Bara does works in museums, so why can't I? Now I'm part of the youth advisory group at the National Maritime Museum because I wanted to stay connected to this museum. Oh, we always ask to write final thoughts, and this is what I wrote. My personal goals was to have fun and to create satisfying work. Through blood, sweat and tears, I achieved this. I had moderate fun and created moderately satisfying work. It has affected me because honestly, now when I think of museums, I just think about there's a bunch of objects and there's a bunch of stuff, but there's also stories that come with all these stuff. And when I enter a museum, it's my job and like my challenge to find a story that interests me and relates to me. That's how I feel like that there's the potential to get something really personal out of museums.